This is dangerous territory, man. This trade could be done anytime in the next few hours, so this video's lifespan might not be all too long, unfortunately. However, we had ourselves Frank SERAVALLI go out there on the recent Daily Face-Off live show, speak out about the newest in NHL trade rumors. This has been a really big deal, and SERAVALLI has made his rounds on Sportsnet 650 talking about this, and in fact the Sportsnet 650 tweet goes out there and pretty much describes it all. This was from earlier yesterday. It seems like a David Jiricek trade is relatively imminent, something that could be processed tonight. I can tell you though, it's not the Vancouver Canucks. SERAVALLI spoke about this on Canucks Central with Dan Riccio and Satyr Shah yesterday, and the reason he said I can tell you it's not the Canucks is because there was actually a post made on the R Canucks subreddit, which linked David Jiricek to the Vancouver Canucks, and this was since regarded in infamy. Because, okay, look, we can just read the tweet, or not the tweet, the post right here. Go to Gucci posted this, that David Jiricek has been traded to the Vancouver Canucks. I have a buddy in the CBJ organization who confirmed this. It could be announced officially in a couple of hours. A future first rounder and a big prospect is going to Columbus. So for a good chunk of time yesterday, we thought that David Jiricek would be a Vancouver Canuck, but SERAVALLI then quickly debunked it and said no, it's not going to be Vancouver. He did say as well on the show that Vancouver, he felt, was one of the teams that checked in and that they wanted to see what Jiricek would cost, but ultimately that was not a conversation that went further. However, earlier today on Daily Face-Off's regular live show, you had yourself SERAVALLI giving an update on the David Jiricek trade rumors. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and listen to the Daily Face-Off show yourself, but on Reddit, there was a post made that summarizes everything we need to know. CompHockey7388 went out there and said this. Frank SERAVALLI says he believes that Don Waddell has 5 to 6 offers on the table for David Jiricek. The teams that are in the mix are Minnesota, the Flyers, the Penguins, and to some degree the Sabres and the Sharks. Columbus is looking for a young top-end prospect of the same caliber in return. SERAVALLI mentions that Minnesota is one of the frontrunners, and that Kyle Dubas from Pittsburgh has also traveled to scout Jiricek this weekend. And, yeah, the top comment says, a young top-end prospect at this time of the year in this part of the country, localized entirely within this Penguins team? Well, we have, yeah, and who could forget, yeah. There aren't really too many prospects in the Pittsburgh organization, so I don't really know if they will be able to get this trade done. But these are some interesting teams to dive into in regards to David Jiricek. Minnesota, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, San Jose. The best team, of course, here amongst this crop is Minnesota. They've been the best out of all of them so far. And then there are some other teams that are near the bottom of the NHL, kind of floating around near the top overall pick contender status. I'd say San Jose has started to get a few more wins here and there, so they're a little bit better. Philadelphia has been kind of going downhill a bit, and then Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. There are a bunch of prospects, though, that each of these teams have. I'd say that Minnesota has maybe one of the weaker prospect pools amongst this group. Buffalo has a pretty good one. San Jose has a fantastic one. And then you have Philadelphia, who does have a few interesting names themselves. Pittsburgh, though, aside from Rutger McGroarty, they don't really have much, to be honest. And Rutger McGroarty himself hasn't been too great either. So for David Jiricek, if Columbus is looking for a prospect in that Jiricek caliber, let's say a top pairing, first line, elite, borderline player, it's going to be difficult to make a trade with some of these teams when you consider just the lack of options that they have. I mean, Pittsburgh would surely love to add a guy like David Jiricek, a younger guy who can help them out right now. He keeps the team competitive whilst also providing longer-term support. But they don't have anything that Columbus would want aside from Rutger McGroarty, who hasn't really been too great in the AHL this year. So definitely I don't really see Pittsburgh getting their feet wet with this kind of a move, even though Kyle Dubas apparently has gone out there and traveled around scouting David Jiricek day after day. You talk about the Minnesota Wild and their draft history. They do have some pretty good prospects. Ever since Judd Brackett took over in Mini, there have been some great names. Zeev Buium, I think, is the big one from the University of Denver Pioneers from this recent draft. Aaron Kiviharu as well, a mobile, first overall potential-like caliber asset that was taken in the 4th round in this most recent draft. Liam Ugren is the big name from 2022 that has been making strides, and then there are a few other names as well. Jesper Wallstedt is still in there. I don't know if Columbus would really want him, but of course he's going to be there. Marat Kusnedinov, Marco Rossi, there are a few guys here, Jack Peart as well, that I do think the Minnesota Wild have pretty good investment into. Carson Lambos, I think, is a player that has not really lived up to his potential in the AHL so far, but he was one of these better guys taken in the 2021 NHL Entry Draft. If Columbus would be interested in any of these guys, then I think you have yourselves a deal. Because David Jiricek is already better than most of these players, and he is a guy that is too good for the AHL at this point. There isn't really any reason to keep him down there unless you really just don't believe in him and his development, like the Columbus Blue Jackets seem to, because they have so many other guys that are in that right spot, and they're taking so many guys too, from Dante Fabro and everybody else, and now David Jiricek has gotten the short end of the stick. San Jose, if you added him onto that team, oh my goodness. Just imagine the San Jose Sharks in the future with their forward core, already pretty stacked. Tyler Toffoli is staying for a while. I know he's not young, but he's there for a while. Macklin, Celebrini, Will Smith, William Eklund, and then you have the defense, Sam Dickinson with David Jiricek. Oh my goodness, that is nasty. Not to mention Yaroslav Askarov in net. The San Jose Sharks could really bolster their team up in a tremendous way if they get this done. Vancouver, of course, we're not even going to dive into Vancouver because SERAVALLI went out there and debunked it, although I will say, just a slight little semantics, nitpicky comment about SERAVALLI's radio hit. He did say 5 to 6 teams on the Sportsnet broadcast. However, his list, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Philly, San Jose, and Buffalo, that's only 5 teams. So maybe there is one more team. Maybe it is Vancouver, who really knows. He did say that the Canucks had interest, but he did not say that the Canucks were able to continue with that. If it's Vancouver, then ultimately that's a guy that I think will really fit with what the Canucks are looking for. Right-handed defenseman who could split the minutes. He could give Tyler Myers an easier workload. He can kind of rotate in and out of the lineup with Noah Juleson if you really wanted that, or if you thought that he's better than that, he could get that third pairing spot permanently. Buffalo is an interesting spot because their D-core is already so stacked with young talent. Byram, Power, Dahlin. Fantastic. Matthias Samuelsson in there too. They don't even need Jiricek, to be honest. They have so many good defensemen already, especially with Byram playing the right side. But if you wanted to stack it up, give David Jiricek a home on a team that has so many young defensemen that are amazing. Buffalo could be that spot as well. And with Philadelphia, if you had a 1-2 punch of the right side with Drysdale, Jiricek, or the other way around if you wanted to say Jiricek, Drysdale, that's pretty nasty as well. Pretty good work. I'd say that Buffalo probably has the best young D-core out of all of these teams because of the Byram, Power, Dahlin trio, but having David Jiricek in there, if you had to trade away some of these guys, then okay, you have the opportunity to really bolster up that right side long term. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Again, this video is dangerous because David Jiricek could get traded sometime in the next few minutes, and we'll have to redo this entire commentary. But for now, I wanted to focus on these rumors, what SERAVALLI spoke out about with these teams. Let me know what you think about David Jiricek getting sent over to either the Canucks, which is not going to happen, the Penguins, the Flyers, the Wild, the Sabres, or the Sharks. What do you think the prospects are in return that could make this work for Columbus, especially if you were to say they are in a top-of-the-line elite caliber? Which prospects do you think get moved? Which teams do you think could actually make the trade work more efficiently? And where do you see this going over the next 48 hours or so? The comment section is your floor. If you're a fan of any of these teams, what do you think your squad could look like with David Jiricek at the helm? And if you're a Blue Jackets fan, what is it that you would want in exchange for the big D-man? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Shows 99. And bye.